Croeso I Bysgota Cymru. Welcome to Fishing in Wales.
So in the warmer months in the spring and summer and autumn, I really like a bit of fly fishing for trout, sea trout, game fish species. But in the winter months, there's something that really does it for me, and that is chucking a fly around for pike. And I think it's probably one of the most enjoyable methods for catching pike. You're nice and active. It gives you a different dimension, a different edge to what a lure would give you. I mean, there's several reasons for that. The fly itself is really mobile. It's really full of movement. So it doesn't really matter what speed you're fishing this. You can literally cast it in, let it waft down into the water column and crawl it back nice and slow in the pike's feeding zone. And it's really attractive to pike, especially fish that haven't been targeted using the fly, fish that have seen it all with the lures. So yeah, it's a really great method to use. So it's well worth a go. Perhaps if you're a lure angler who wants to try something a bit different, or if you're a die-hard trout fisherman and you're looking for something to do in the winter time, the pike fly fishing, it's a really good option. But just make sure you get the right tackle, because you can't rock up with your standard trout fishing rod. You're going to need a 9-foot, 9 or 10 weight fly rod, and make sure you've got a specialist fly line on here which is designed for casting big flies. So you want a shooting head setup, and on the front end of that you're going to want to make sure you've got a leader with a length of wire. So this one here is a poly leader which is tapered, and I've got about a 10-inch length of titanium wire, and that's really important there, just so you don't get bite-offs, and you clip that onto the end of your fly. So today I'm fishing with two setups. This one I've got with a die 3 sinker. That's 3 inches per second with the sink rate. So it's going to get me down there into the water, fair depth, a metre or so. And I want to fish this one quite fast, stripping it back in. And then my second rod, I've got a fast intermediate fly line on that one. Now this one is to really fish it really slowly. So I want to cast this out perhaps over the weed and figure of 8 retrieve nice and slowly, and just crawl it back in, which is often a retrieve which works quite well in cold weather when the pike is sitting in the weed or on the bottom there. And for the fly there I've put on a roach pattern. So this particular fly here is quite flashy. Quite a lot of tinsel in there, gold, silver tinsel. So I'm going to fish this kind of quite fast, stripping it in, and I've put this on a die 3 fly line because I want it to sink a bit deeper in the water because I'm moving it a bit quicker. So I'm just casting that out, letting it sink for I don't know, 4 or 5 seconds, just let the fly bed in, and then I'm going to strip retrieve it. And then pause it every so often. Maybe put in a little figure of 8 just to give it that little movement. And then strip. And very often you'll feel the line it feels like it's catching the bottom almost. But if you feel that, it's usually a pike that's taking it and he's turning with it. So if you think you've got to take, best thing to do, keep pulling down the line. Never do a knee-jerk reaction, lift the rod, because you're going to pull the fly out of the fish's mouth. Just keep pulling on the line if you think you've got to take, and it'll lock up solid. Important thing to do right at the end is hang the fly. So I can see the fly here, the water's gin clear, which is really good for fly fishing. And I've just hanging the fly there, because often the pike will follow it, and they'll hover around the boat sometimes, and they'll make a decision then when they think the prey is going to get away. They'll make a last ditch dive at the fly sometimes, and it's really exciting to see that as well. Under the rod tip, big pike coming up, bang, hitting the fly.
Discover fishing in Wales